All right, everyone, it's week 4 in the Family Beatdown Fantasy Football League. Here's your update show. Sorry about the missed assignment last week. The dog ate my homework. What can I tell you? Let's talk quickly about Notre Dame versus USC. Notre Dame and USC, both teams lost. The Trojans lost a heartbreaker on Friday night to University of Utah. They led throughout the game. Had a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter, but were not able to stave off the Utes as they came roaring back, and they were able to win it at the last second. Notre Dame, on the other hand, hosted the Blue Demons from Duke. I would have sworn it was a basketball game because I didn't even know Duke had a football team, but they do, and they knocked off the the Fighting Irish. Amazing. It was a great game, but it certainly knocked the Fighting Irish out of contention. Coming up this week for the Trojans is going to be the Arizona State. It's a home game here. And who does Notre Dame have this week? Let's find out real quick. Notre Dame, they probably have, Akron or some school like that with their strength of schedule. Actually, they have Syracuse. Not a terrible matchup, but not a great one. So at any rate, there's your Fighting Irish and your Fighting Trojans update. Let's also talk real quick about bye weeks. Bye weeks start this week. Green Bay and Philadelphia are sitting on the sidelines this week, so get those holes covered, folks. Let's go through our games last week. So let's start with Bike Lives Matter and Swamp Donkeys. Quincy was able to run away from Rick, 151 to 130.9. Green Harambe Packers and Blue and Gold fought to the death. Jacob was able to win it on Monday night, 153 to 143. Back that pass up. Somehow won with all kinds of 3 different holes in her roster. She still put up 152 points to Big Blue's 86. And Big Blue started Garoppolo, who was out and is expected to be out again this week. Rednecks and Gerard Invincibles, quite a battle there, 158 to 155 in favor of the Rednecks. People of Color lost big time to Blood, Sweat, and Beer, 153.9 to 85. And same thing with Drew Has VD's thumping Smell This, 155.8 to 78. So there you go. Let's talk also real quick. It's never too soon to start looking at the standings here. We've still got 2 undefeated teams in the Rednecks and Blood, Sweat, and Beer. They're sitting on top of their respective divisions. We still have 2 winless teams, Green Harambe Packers and Big Blue, sitting at the bottom of their respective divisions. But Rednecks lead the Cardinal division, followed by Blue and Gold, and Smell This both at 2 and 1. Jacob has a little bit better point differential, actually quite a bit better point differential. And then in the Gold division, Bike Lives Matter and People of Color sitting both at 2 and 1 in the second and third spots. Quincy with just a tad better point differential. Let's go through our lineup for this week. So Smell This gets Blood, Sweat, and Beer. It's 127.4 to 127.3 right now in favor of Smell This. Cam Newton gets a start against Atlanta, as does Kelvin Benjamin. Sterling Shepard is going to go against Minnesota. That's not a great matchup. Minnesota is quite a good defensive team. Giovanni Bernard goes against Miami for Smell This. For Blood, Sweat, and Beer, Drew Brees, who's having a spectacular year, is going against San Diego, so it's going to be a nice sunny day down there. So Brees could put up another 60 points, which is kind of what he does. Also expected to get double digits is Evans and that New York Jets defense. All of that said, I'm going to give the pick to Smell This. Let's talk Gerard Invincibles versus Big Blue. Veronica looking for her first win, but it's going to be tough with Garoppolo in there as the starter and Des Bryant, who's listed as questionable. For Grandpa, 2 questionable guys in Russell Wilson, who really got twisted up in the game this past weekend and is listed as questionable, as Malcolm Floyd is as well. But it's 122 to 119 in favor of Big Blue right now. I don't think Veronica is going to cover up that quarterback spot, so I'm going to give the win to the Invincibles. Let's go with Green Harambe Packers, also looking for their first win against Swamp Donkeys, looking for his second win. Eli Manning and Odell Beckham go against Minnesota. Not a great matchup defensively. Matt Forte goes against Seattle, and Sanders against Tampa Bay. Le'Veon Bell, though, is against Kansas City. And Kansas City, I don't know if anybody saw that game, Grandpa got 43 points out of Kansas City's defense last week. 43 points out of a defense. They were like, what was that here? Let's just find that real quick. That stat line was amazing. So this Chiefs, 6 interceptions. 6 interceptions. Hoy. 2 fumble recoveries, 2 defensive touchdowns, and they only allowed 3 points. That gave Grandpa 43 defensive points. Unbelievable. So, but at any rate, that's the Kansas City defense. All of that said, I think it's 138-95 in favor of Harambe Packers. I think that's too much. I don't think Rick's going to cover it. I give the win to Ty. Drew has VDs, takes on Bikes Lives Matter. Quincy is 2-1, and Alex is 1-2. For Alex, Flacco against Oakland, Beasley against San Francisco, Ezekiel Elliott, the new Superman. Did you guys see that play where he hurdled the guy? Amazing. And Carlos Hyde, who also had a great game for Alex last week, also against Dallas, is expected to do big points. Quincy has got Matt Ryan, who's listed as questionable, so watch him, Quince. He's also got Cook at the tight end, who's on bye. But Gronk has been cleared to play, and I think you know what to do, Quince. It's time to bring Gronk in. He plays against Buffalo this week. Buffalo is not that good, and so it's time to give Gronk the start. It's 125-113 in favor of Drew has VDs. I'm going to give the win to Bike Lives Matter. People of Color versus the Rednecks. It's a chance to knock off Dawn's undefeated record. Here we go. For People of Color, Andy Dalton starts against Miami. Julio Jones against Carolina. Ashlon Jeffrey against Detroit. Gordon against New Orleans for Ryan. For Dawn, Phillip Rivers against New Orleans at home. A.J. Green against Miami at home. T.Y. Hilton is at Jacksonville. All of these guys are projected to do double points, as is that Minnesota defense. It's 136-146 in Dawn's favor right now. Dawn's going to go to 4-0. Back that pass up, and Big Blue face off against each other. It's 141-97 on paper in favor of the Blue. Andrew Luck for Jake gets it start against Jacksonville. Antonio Brown against Kansas City. Expected to do 21. I don't think he's going to do that well. Also, Reed and Cooks both projected to do double figures for Jacob. For Rebecca, you've got 2 players that are out, Rawls and Gates, and you've got 1 player who doesn't have a job. That's your kicker, Graham. So I think it's great. Go ahead and spot, Jake, the 3 players, just like you did last week, because you did fine. But you may want to take a look at it. I don't know. Any rate, Palmer gets the Rams. Marshall gets Seattle. Jordy Nelson's on bye, so there's now 4 people, 4 holes in the lineup. And Gurley, who finally found the end zone for the LA Rams last week after the Rams didn't score a touchdown in their first 2 games, but still somehow won. Gurley is going to go against the Arizona Cardinals, who I believe will be right in the thick of things come playoff time. That said, I'm going to give the win to Blue and Gold. So I think I covered all the games. It looks like I did. I just want to remind everybody once again that bye weeks start this week. Green Bay and Philadelphia are resting things up. You're going to want to make some changes accordingly. And you've got some holes. You've got, Garoppolo's out, and Shane Graham needs a job, and all kinds of holes. So let's get those lineups covered. Everybody have a good week. That's all I've got to say. So long.